Oh, man. First of all, let me say thank you, man.
No problem.
Man, Enchante Logistics Group here with my first interview. I'm gonna dive right into it, man. First of all, like I said, Enchante Logistics Group, and this is Caleb. We'll let him introduce his company, and if he wants to give out his dot information or whatever, it's public information. We're talking Hotshot.
Yep, Caleb Doulet, owner operator. Started my company about 5 months ago, Doulet Express. Just out here trying to make it like everybody else.
Man, first question, man, what made you get into Hotshot?
So kind of an embarrassing story to start, but I was doing semis. I had actually a very good job with semis, making about $1,500-$1,600 a week, but it's kind of like one of those Dollar General accounts when people get them and they get accident after accident and then they lose that job. That's kind of what happened with me with Schneider. So just quick thinking, I had did a little bit of Hotshot before I did semis, and I just used that income to get my truck. Still renting out a trailer just in case it don't work, so that I can just return the trailer. I don't have to worry about being under a loan with it, you know. And that's basically how it began.
Man, a lot of times I find that that's the best way to do when you start into this Hotshot thing, is to rent out or to lease out a truck, so you don't have that big old lump sum of that on your back to know you have to owe somebody month after month, man.
Exactly.
So you told me about your semi background. What other jobs did you have besides that?
I was military. I did that for 8 years, and basically I found a woman, got married, got out the military, moved to Texas from Louisiana, and that's when I was just like, I gotta do something. I had a friend, like he started, one of my wife's family members was Hotshot, and I rode with him, kind of learned how it went, and then I was like, okay, but then I saw you needed a CDL to kind of actually make some good money, so I got my CDL and went through the veteran school, and they put me in touch with Schneider, and that's how I got into the semis, just to start getting used to driving over the road and stuff like that, and that's kind of how it started.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you for your service, man, for sure.
Thank you, thank you.
So when you were, again, let's elaborate on how you learned about it. Did you go to your YouTubes? Did you go to your Facebook groups?
So to start off, I'm a big internet looking for reviews and stuff like that, forums, and I found the forum, Truckers Report online, and I just started deep diving into all the information that people give out on how to start the business and everything. And there's actually another guy who's around the Houston area, was starting the same time as me, and we both just bounced information that we were learning off of each other, how to start. I didn't even think about like Facebook groups or YouTube videos at the time. It was just all that forum, but there's so much knowledge on it. Like now on the Facebook groups, when people are asking how do I get started, I link that forum and say, man, there's just an abundance of information on there to just figure out what you need to do to get started. You can always post something, ask questions. There's always guys ready to hop on and give you whatever information you need. And that's kind of how I learned what I needed to do and how to get started.
Yeah, I've never heard about that forum, man. I would love to know that forum. As far as Facebook, man, I'm in a group called All Truckers Unite. I think it's like 50,000 people in that group, man, and it could be very frustrating because when you're looking for knowledge and you post a question, and it might sound stupid to people that's been doing it for 20 years, and then you come and you got a lot of feedback from people, but half of it, 90% of it is gonna be people giving you a hard time, you know what I mean, telling you, oh, don't do it, and negativity and stuff. But I find it that all you need is that one person to say, hey man, call me, I'll give you this information and stuff. So
exactly. That's why I always reference that forum, because every now and then there's a specific forum subcategory for Hotshot trucking. And every now and then we might get a semi guy might come in and troll a little bit, but for the most part, it's always positive for the most part. Not too many negatives. Like on Facebook, a couple of the groups I'm in, it's always negative.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. People just don't want others to succeed. Maybe they think they're taking business from them, but
let y'all know, man, there's over 80,000 people that there's over 80,000 drivers needed right now, man. There's drivers everywhere. It's not gonna be no one's taking your job from anywhere because there's enough to feed everybody. But I'm gonna get that form for you, and I'm definitely gonna put it in the description so you can go there and see it for sure. Okay, how did you put? Because right now, me being a dispatcher, I'm scared of driving, man, on that road, man, and not knowing what happens when you break down, what to do, or what kind of problems you're gonna have. What prepared you to get your CDL?
Man, it was kind of just getting out the military, knowing that I needed to do something. So that's what, I always did enjoy driving, and so I figured, hey, I like driving already. Let me try to do it with trucking, And it's kind of worked out. At first, I was still a little bit nervous about, making these long trips, whether it's cross country or 1,000 miles at a time. But with having to take the 10-hour break and everything, you can put in a good 10 hours, sometimes 11 hours of driving, and kind of either have music going on. I watch Twitch. If nobody knows what that is, people play video games online. And so some people also have like characters. So I have my earpod in my ear when I'm driving, and I'm just got it playing, So I'm listening to somebody talking, playing video games, and I'm just driving, kind of just moving. And next thing I know, I got to fuel up, stop, take a break, drive some more, take my 30-minute break, drive some more. Next thing I know, I done put in 10, 11 hours, time to sleep. Do it all over again the next day. Yeah.
That's the thing about 2020 now. You can put some entertainment on, whether you're watching it or not. You still have entertainment with YouTube and movies, Netflix, or whatever you do to drive, or even FaceTime now. You can just talk your whole drive, man. So it's really you can really understand the guys that came before us, what they had to deal when they had these things.
Yeah,
really
it
tough.
had to be tough for those guys,
sure.
Man. It's just sometimes it just gets so boring just being out there. It's tough.
Shout out to the guys that came before us, man. Y'all had it rough, man, for sure.
Yeah.
So if you were in this position now and you seen yourself getting into Hotshot, what would you tell yourself before you got into it? What would you? Let me ask this question correctly. If you knew what you know now in this Hotshot business, what would you do different? What would you tell your old self?
I think about that a lot of times, and it's hard to actually say because there's a lot of variables that go into it, especially with finances, man. Like I started up with no money. Actually, I had a credit card. I'll just say I had a credit card with a $15,000 limit on it. And man, just to start up everything and get all the MC number, the UCR, all the things that we need to sign up for, the drug consortium, and just getting my insurance down payment was $2,500 off the top. I just put everything on the credit card, and basically that got me set up. I would say, even though I did a lot of research on learning how to start up, I wish I would have known to do a little bit more research on the bad side, as in dispatchers who don't really care. They just want to get that money after they dispatch you. I wish I would have known how brokers, how the whole way it works of a broker bidding to get a shipper's quote and then pushing it out to the carrier. I had no knowledge of how that worked, so that was all brand new to me after I started up. And and just a little bit more research on knowing not just the trucking part, but everything else that goes into it. I didn't know how to do an invoice when I first started, so I had to get on Google, look at invoices and see how it looked and try to mimic it. It all worked out in the end, but just not knowing everything that goes into it. So a lot of things you just have to learn as it goes, you know, because you can't just know everything.
And I'm sitting here and I'm smiling, man, because you're just telling me my story. You're preaching my story. You know, I didn't know how to do an invoice either, man. Yeah. I didn't know how to run a business because as an owner operator, you're running a business. Exactly. You know what I mean? So you have to do everything from start to finish, and no one's there to hold your hand with it. And it's rewarding at the end, during the time when you get, you know what I mean? It's rewarding. Man, that's great. So what's your biggest enjoyment of being an owner operator?
Man, I'm pretty sure everybody would agree with me on this, is making my own hours. Nobody telling me I have to go to work. Nobody telling me, oh, you can't take this day off. That's probably the best part, other than the fact that when you do that, you have to accept that you're not making no money.
Yeah, facts.
So that's the only downside to it.
That's a big fact, man. Yep. Oh, okay. So I guess this is gonna get us to where I asked this already, man, or you answered this already. Where do you find your best information when you're in need of help?
Mostly just Googling and YouTube, man. Like, I had some problems arise when I was in Pennsylvania. It was snowing this past winter, and I learned, I didn't know what was happening at first, but once I left Pennsylvania, I moved down south to about North Carolina area. I started having some trailer light issues, and I was like, man, I don't know what to do about this. I never prepared for these type of problems. So I just jumped on Google. My gooseneck trailer lights isn't working. Just started skimming. Found somebody who said it might be the ground wire. I don't know nothing about wires. What the heck is a ground wire? Jump on YouTube. What is a ground wire in a trailer? And watch people do it. Watch people work with it. I was like, okay, this is what it is. And just watching that, YouTube is great, man. It's just so good to learn from other people, man. So, and that's what taught me what I needed to do to fix my trailer wires. So
it's humbling.
Yeah.
It's humbling to learn from other people, man, too. And as a driver, man, I'm really seeing this, being a dispatcher and owning my own company and working with drivers, that problem solving skills is one of the biggest skills you must have of being a driver.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people say, oh, my dispatcher is probably just at home watching TV, right? And he's in a different state. Well, he really can't do nothing for you but just make a phone call anyway. You know what I mean? So if something goes wrong with your rig, it's really on you. And if you don't have those problem solving skills, no one else can help you. So
exactly.
That's crazy, man.
You have to be willing to think, figure out what can I do to make this work. Sometimes, like when a second time arrives when my trailer lights went out, didn't have any lights on the trailer at all, and it was nighttime. I can't drive like that, so I missed out on so many miles being driven. I had to shut down for the night instead of taking that risk of driving with no lights, you know. So you have to be ready for stuff like that to happen to you, you know. So that's why you always have to prepare beforehand, see how long it's gonna take you to get to your destination, and always think in the back of your head, what if something happens, you know?
Always being prepared is the main key for sure. Yeah. What's the most frustrating thing about this hotshotting business, man?
These goddamn rates, man.
The rates for sure, right?
Man, these rates. There are some brokers who just will not cave in, and I'm all about the no cheap freight, man. Don't take cheap freight, and like I've deadheaded miles and miles, man, because I'm supportive of no cheap freight. But man, some of these brokers will let their load sit on the board 2 days just because they won't go up on the price.
Yeah, it's difficult when I'm calling them, man, and I don't even call half the people that they put 500 miles, $200 or 1,000 miles $700, you know, stuff like that. I won't even call to try to even negotiate with them because it's just, you know, you're making $500, $600 on a load. You're making more than a driver at this point. So the brokers, it's really difficult to talk to some of these brokers. But then you do have some good brokers that are ex-drivers that do understand the business, man.
Exactly. I have one broker that's near the Houston area who will call me for a load, and I don't even have to negotiate with him because anytime he asks me, hey, can you take this? Well, yeah, I can take it. He's like, all right, I can give you this for it. I'm like, that's more than I probably would have offered you. Good to go. So it's nice to know a broker like that, man.
For sure. Always keep in contact with your brokers. Making sure that you send them the PODs and stuff like that. Making sure that you keep in contact with them. I see by doing that, they'll call you. And once you got brokers calling you, then you're in the money. Then you're in the money for sure.
Exactly. And also just a tip for whoever posts your trucks on DAT and Truck Stop, because I was in Buda, Texas one time. No lows. It's in between Austin and San Antonio.
Yeah.
No lows in that area, but I had my truck posted, and the broker I was just talking about called me up. Hey, Caleb. I was like, yeah. He's like, that's really your truck in Buda, Texas? I was like, yeah, that's me. He's like, man, I got a load just popped up that I bidded on. I got that load, and you in Buda. I was like, I'll take it. You know. So post your trucks up, man, because they'll see it. They'll call you up, especially if they know who you are. They'll call you before they even post it on the board because they see you there.
And even if, and I had to start doing that because I never did that. But it's that one time that it works, you know what I mean? And it doesn't cost anything to post a truck, you know what I mean? It just takes time to go in there and do it. It's 5 seconds to do it. So that is really big. Other than the time you have to manage yourself with this job, what's the most gratifying thing you get out of it?
When that paycheck come in, man, when I see that money hit the bank from that invoice I sent out, you know, it sucks the factoring company takes some out, but it's just one of the things we deal with. You go in a lot of debt, you need the money quick, you deal with it until you don't have to no more. But I think that's the most gratifying thing is when that paycheck hit the bank.
Being able to say, I'm the boss, I did this.
Exactly.
For sure. What else I got here? What's your thoughts on dispatchers, man?
I believe there's a lot of good and bad. And bad because my first ever dispatcher was actually a broker / dispatcher, and they did me wrong, and I found out about it on the second load I did for them, that they were brokering the load and dispatching me on the load. And then when I found, this is when I didn't know invoices, the first invoice the lady did for me, she was gonna do the dispatching, the invoices and everything for me. She did that invoice for me, and to me, I looked at it, I really didn't know what I was looking at, I just trusted her. I still haven't gotten paid for that load. That was in November. Second load I did for her, I was in the business, you know, a week or two, and I was just researching more stuff, and I learned about factoring companies and everything. So I got a factoring company for this second load, and I told her, hey, just send the invoice to my factoring company. So she sent the invoice to the factoring company, and the factoring company calls me up, and they're like, hey, this invoice isn't gonna do anything. I was like, what do you mean? They were like, it doesn't say who it's billing. It was just blank. And I was like, oh, okay. She didn't even send me the second invoice. She had sent me the first one. She didn't send me the second one because I told her to send it to the factoring company. So they sent it to me, and then I was like, yep, you're right. It doesn't say who to bill. And they had brokered that load too. And they hadn't brokered that second load. So I told the factoring company, I'll just figure out how to make an invoice and I'll send it to you guys. And that's how I figured out the invoice, and I figured out that some brokers are just, you know, not good people. They'll take advantage of you. But and then there's also good dispatchers. Dispatchers will take advantage of you. And but there are some good dispatchers too. I had another company was dispatching for me, and the guy was a good guy, but I think he was kind of brand new to it. So I found myself sitting a lot, and I told him, I said, man, I believe you're a good guy, good honest guy, but I'm sitting too much. Let me try to see if I can find something different. So and he wished me well. He didn't say, oh, don't leave. I can do better. He said, hey man, I understand. I hope you can find something that works better for you. You know, so there's just good people. You can say not even just dispatchers. There's good people who dispatch.
To touch on your point about getting a dispatcher and letting them factor your loads for you and putting all that stuff in the computer and doing all that for you. It's one thing to let dispatchers find you loads. Mm-hmm. Take that time to factor your own loads, to put in the work for the computer to send that in, because if you don't, then you got that dispatcher all in your business, in your financial business, and there's a lot of double brokering that goes on. What I mean by double brokering is they find a load, then they take some off that load, and it's just a whole bunch of mess. So if you can factor your own loads and go and send that in, because that's really quick. They have apps where you can just send that stuff in through CamScam or whatever, and if you can find yourself, if you can do anything, if you don't do anything with paperwork, make sure that you factor for sure.
Yeah, I double down on that. Even if the broker quick pays that I use, I do it all myself. That way I know, and I know everything that's on it. I know who I sent it to. I know it's right. You know, I don't have to worry about, man, is my dispatcher going to make sure they put the right address on this thing? Am I not going to get paid? And it's gratifying to do some things yourself, you know, like I want to do some things. It's my business, you know. I appreciate a dispatcher finding me a load, but for the business side of it, I like to do it myself, you know. It feels good.
Do you follow anyone out there, like a Toe Piglet? He's really famous out there, or Manny's Movement, he's really famous. Hotshot Dave, these guys, do you follow any of these guys?
I watch all their videos, man, especially while I'm driving.
Yeah.
I watch all their videos. There's what is South Georgia Hotshot?
South Georgia Hotshot.
I like him because his videos are like 40 minutes long,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll just let like 2 or 3 of them come up, and when I got a long drive, it's like South Georgia Hotshot time.
I love that, man. Yeah. I love it because I'm not the only one doing it, you know. And I think I was up watching. I think it might have been South. I think it might have been. Does he pull? I'm not sure who he was, but he had a live stream going for like 3 hours.
That was him.
Was that him?
Yeah,
Just
not
past?
too long ago.
Yeah, just here recently. And he was just going over everyone's question. I was asking question after question after question. You know what I mean? And he was just giving us good advice. You know what I mean? And he's not downing anything, but he's raw. He's raw with it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And I think that's why a lot of people watch him, man, because he's not like some of these guys who just put just the good. Oh, I got a $4.5 mile load. You know, he'll say like, look, I had to agree on this $1.20 a mile load. You know, just to put something else with it and keep moving. He's just right honest with it, man. I like him.
Yeah. I think when I started watching Toe Piglet when he was really, really small, man, and honestly, his work ethic is amazing to me. If I can get drivers like Toe Piglet's work ethic, and I would be set.
Oh yeah, that guy's a machine.
He's a machine, man.
I'm surprised. I just seen one of his videos. He took it was probably just his 34 when he was in Dallas with Hotshot Haven, and like it's probably just his 34 because that guy never takes a break.
Huh? I think he has an exit plan coming up, but yeah, man, these guys they're motivating, to be honest, because we're at the start of our journey, and they're a couple years or a couple whatever down the road, but you can see what you can get to.
Exactly.
You know, and I like watching those guys. So thank you for that content, guys.
Yeah.
And thank you, man. I have no more questions for you, man. I'm glad that I ran into you today, man, to be honest.
Same here, man. You
Appreciate
know,
it.
like I told you, I saw your videos one day, and then when you told me it on the street, I was like, oh man, I know that guy.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get into it like those guys. I'm not on the road. I'm trying to give people a different perspective on it, but also I'm trying to talk to guys like you because I'm going to get my CDL because I think a lot of dispatchers need to see what drivers go through.
I'd say dispatchers, really, I wish brokers could see, you know, when a broker is like, hey, pick this up and I need it delivered by this time, and you're just like, man, I gotta hope I don't hit no traffic, I gotta hope I don't get a blowout, you know, and then they were like, want to fine you if you're late. So I wish they could see some of the things we go through, you know. But I believe dispatchers kind of at least understand, you know, that things could come up, you know.
Unless they Total Quality or these big old companies that don't even care, man. I don't mean to throw out Total Quality like that, but TQL, DSV Road, or these companies like this, man. Come on, y'all got to get with the program, people.
Yeah, man. I was actually a story about TQL. I've only done one load ever for them because I was in Wyoming, man, and there was nothing coming out of Wyoming. And they had a load going to Arizona that they didn't want to pay for, man. And I told them I wanted $2 a mile. I wasn't gonna go any lower than that. And they were like, we can't do it. And then about 3 o'clock in the evening, they called me back up. Hey, Mr. Doulet, that $2 a mile got approved. And I was like, all right, I'll go get the load. So, but I've never had another load from them because they don't ever want to pay.
Hey, listen, they always have the money. They have the money, man. They always have the money. So,
and if they don't have the money, what happens is I learned is they'll go to the shipper and say, hey, we can't move it for this. And then the shipper is like, okay, we'll go up on it. And the problem is when you have a bad broker, they'll get the shipper to go up on it, but they won't go up on it for the carrier, and they'll try to keep that extra money. Yeah. But a good broker will also tell the carrier, like, hey, the shipper went up, so you'll get, you know, $250 more or whatever it is, you know, so. It's just a dog world. Dog world, man.
Hey, we got Doulet Express, man. I'm gonna put his information on the description. Y'all holler at him, man. He's safe. Gonna move your equipment. Gonna move whatever you need. We just out here trying to get a start. That's it, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
Hey, y'all stay safe out there, fellas. Be safe.
I'm a little camera shy, but it worked out.
And ladies also. Sorry about that.